Hello, I am Tori Bragg and my partner Kaden worked together for our final online project. So a little bit about the course overview. Our first module is digital citizenship, and that's going to be a Nearpod. We're going to be going over protecting yourself online. Module 2 is measuring length. That will be our TPAC lesson in addition to Module 3, which will be going over perimeter. Module 4 is our last module, and we will be going over resources on area, and this will be aligned to UDL. So I'm going to navigate to our online course. So our first module, as I stated, is going to be on digital citizenship, and it is a Nearpod lesson. So of course we're starting off with our learning objectives. We did record so that you students can read the objectives but also hear the objectives as well. So this is a Padlet that students can respond to. Think about all the different ways you use computers, tablets, phones, or anything connected to the internet. What are some of the things you do with these devices? So kind of just a prerequisite to see what students know, how do they use their computers at home, and what kind of information they already know leading into this lesson about digital citizenship. So that was just like a prerequisite. So what does digital mean? Related to computers, I know where I'm learning. This is kind of just kind of another prerequisite to see what students know before learning more information about this. So they get the option to read. It did give them the option at the beginning. I didn't click on that, but it gave them the option to have a read aloud choice so that they could hear the flashcards being read out loud to them. And then it gives them the option to use several different ways to flip the note card, and then they have to say, I know this information, or I'm still learning this information. So it's a good way for us to check for understanding. Let's make this big again. Okay, so here we have a video about students and how they can be safe on the internet. So it's got lots of visuals. The voice is not computerized, and then it just gives really good features, and it gives really good key concepts and information and vocabulary for students on how they can be safe on the internet. So this is another check for understanding within the lesson. Students can just drag a check mark based off of how they're feeling with the information that they're learning so far. So do you have a favorite superhero? If so, who is it, why? And if not, why not? And then students can just go in and then just respond to who their favorite superhero is. So yes, my favorite recording, they can use the microphone, they can respond with a picture. Either way it goes, and it does have them categorized into 2 columns. So here we've got another video. I'm going to mute it, but I'm going to let it play a little bit. Just while you watch some of the visuals. So it's got that option, of course, of them being able to hear, but you can also kind of just giving you a rundown of the different things you can do on the internet, but ensuring that you're staying safe and making the right choices on the internet. Alright, so here, this is already modeled for you because I just had already gone in and done all of that, but This is just another checking for understanding for us and students putting in what they have learned from some of the videos previously. So I'm gonna put this up, toggle this up. So just everywhere they go, they're gonna read each little area, and then they put either the little stop sign or the check mark based off if that would be correct or incorrect, or something that is safe or something that is not safe. So Ryan posts an embarrassing picture of his brother without his permission. That would not be safe. Diane asked her friend if she can post a picture of her before sharing it. That would be like a safe choice because they're asking permission. So on this next area, we are continuing to check for understanding and to give students the opportunity to show what they've learned throughout this module. So with this one, it is just asking them what's something that they plan to do now that they've learned a lot more about what it means to be a digital citizen. And then with that, they can draw a picture. They can use the text box. They can find a picture in addition to making a video as well. So they have a lot of different ways to show what they've learned through the different modalities. And then we have a quiz to make sure that everything that they have learned comes together summatively and show us that they have grasped the concept of digital citizenship. So measuring length to the nearest inch, half an inch, and a fourth of an inch is what this this module is about. So the overview is review the material and complete the activities on fractions. This is a prerequisite. It just means that we're kind of introducing it. And then we're going to continue on with the length aspect. So then we have a video that's kind of just introducing fractions, what fractions look like in halves, quarters, and things like that, so that students have an understanding of what we're looking for when they have to go and measure on using a ruler and things like that. So I'll play just a little bit of this to see.
Learn and play online. Today, we are going to learn about fractions, halves, and quarters.
So you can see also from the video that it's not a computerized voice. This voice is a child's voice, which should really keep the kids' attention because that's something that they're interested in. It should really keep them engaged throughout the 6 minutes that they have to watch. And then we've got a little check for understanding. And this is just a matching game. So they match the picture to the words. So for instance, 1/2 is going to be a 1/2 or a half, which has the fraction here and it has the pictures, which is really good for students to see. Not only visually, they can see it in the circle, but they can also see it in the fraction form. So when they click it, it gives them that correct answer. And if they don't click the right one, it's going to give them an X, which also shows up on our end as well. But it also helps them to understand and see the mistakes that they made in addition to that. And then we've got a multiple choice quiz. I've already gone through and answered all of these, but again, this is helping us to see what they know as far as the information and the concepts to understanding fractions. So there are 6 questions there, all related to fractions. And then, of course, it gives them a score at the end, which is really good for students to be able to check back and look at their own work. So this is a learning objective in regards to the concept of measuring length using a ruler. And this is again in halves, quarter of an inch, and a whole inch. So we're going to start with a video. This video is 4 minutes long, but again, I will play just a little bit of it so that you can kind of see and hear. It's got those very great visuals, and it's got a human voice that also helps keep students engaged as well.
Hey there, it's Kaylee. In this lesson, we're going to learn to measure to the whole inch. Let's get started. We have learned to measure things by lining up boxes and counting how many high or how many long the lines are. We can see that the orange line is 4.
So as you can see and hear, the voice is a human voice, which is very good, and keeps the students interested. In addition to, the visuals are very simple and they relate to the topic at hand, and that students are learning about a fraction in regards to the nearest inch, fourth of an inch, and half an inch. So here on this page, we've just got some key vocabulary concepts, introducing the ruler and what the ruler is used for and how to use a ruler when measuring length. And this one is kind of giving you another visual. It's the same picture, but kind of just zooming in on that 1 inch and 2 inch to show that the longest part is where the whole inches are and that they are also labeled. And we've got another video. This one is now introducing them with half and quarter of an inch. So the other one was, the first video was about whole inch. And so now we're going even deeper and we're talking about half and quarter of an inch. And so then we've got the same pictures to show and represent where the half inch is on the ruler, and then where the quarter of the inch is on the ruler as well. Next up is using what they just learned from the videos and implementing it. And so this one is a question that students can answer just by looking at the ruler, which is on their computer, and it's very clear so they can see the lines, they can see the numbers very easily, and then they're supposed to measure. And this one's a little bit different. So this one is, how tall is a stack of dimes? So this one, and then how tall is a stack of quarters? So we're continuing to check for understanding all throughout, and giving students the opportunity to use what they've learned and put it into the Nearpod, to keep them engaged throughout the entire lesson. So this is the activity for the rubric for that activity that's coming up, which is going to be a Padlet activity. So we want to give students the opportunity to see what they're supposed to do in order to make the best choices and do the best work that they possibly can. So they can get out of this a 15 on this 15 points, and it just tells them, breaking it down for measurement, procedure, and justification. This is unacceptable, acceptable, and what we are looking for. And here's the Padlet that students will go in and use. So they'll be working in groups in this activity. And so what it is asking them to do is find 3 objects in the classroom, measure each object to the nearest inch, half an inch, and quarter of an inch, and respond to one group and state if you think their measurement of a particular object is logical or not. So when they are responding, they can click right here and they can take pictures. They can write their responses, and I really like this because it gives them the choice of responding to their classmates and looking to see how their classmates also looked at information and responded to information and found different information and how they looked at different objects and what was the way that they came up to their solution of their measurement, if they used the same way as each other or if they found a different way. And that's really just student-led as well, because students can learn off of each other, and they're also giving their classmates feedback. This module with a quiz about length, and this is a Kahoot. Just a poll saying, how do you feel about measuring length, which is really great to check in with students, not only to see what they're doing, but to know how they feel about a concept. So this is kind of just giving them the opportunity to confidentially tell us how they feel about measurement and measuring with a ruler, so then we can check in with them if we need to. And then our last module is the area of rectangles. So we've got several resources first here on area. The first one being a quiz lesson. I'm going to see if I can try and get in here. Okay, so it gives you the option to have the questions or the little note cards read aloud. And I got rid of the music. So this is just a lesson. This right here is a little anchor chart to explain what area is and perimeter. We've got a quick YouTube video.
Today we are learning how to...
This introduces us to area and then walking us through the steps of
Title.
how...
What are rows and columns? Slide has an image. Point 1. Rows go side to side. Point 2. Columns go up and down.
So it does have the option to read it aloud. I will say this option is not very kid friendly. It's obviously very computerized, but it does give, they don't have to use that, but they do have that option to do that if they want to hear it, if it's a little bit harder for them to read. Like for instance, if you have multilingual students, if you have students that just read a little bit slower, this can really help benefit them. And then you have to respond, what are rows and columns? Then we have another video explaining what rows and columns are.
In order to calculate the area of a shape, you multiply the length times the width. 5.
So that was just kind of explaining that it did have that read aloud option, but what area is. It's got really good pictures and visuals for students to see, in addition to an example for them to use as they are going through and looking familiar with as they continue to learn about area. Several examples, and then it gives them some practice questions. So what is the area of this shape? And then they can go in and they can answer, is it 10 square inches, 25 square inches, 10 inches, or 25 inches? And then when they get it correct, they get their points. Again, what is the area of this shape? Students have to multiply in order to get 28 square inches. So that's one of the resources. The second resource for area is another lesson that students can go through and they can review themselves. It's got a brain pop for them to go, and they can watch the area polygons or perimeter, and then they can go in and read themselves and learn more about area and perimeter, and then apply it. And then at the end, they can build a zoo using this link right here. Build a zoo using area and perimeter. Giving them all those options to not only learn, but to implement what they are learning into something engaging and fun for them. Our next resource for area is another area to give them more information about area in regards to square inches and square units. This is a very simple website, very easy for students to navigate. And as you can see here, they click right here and it takes them right to this resource. This is something that they don't have to use. They can kind of just go over and look at it because they have all these other resources that essentially say the same thing. And then the last one is a YouTube video. This video is just kind of giving students another overview of area, giving them another way to learn about area, in addition to the other ways they did learn it previously. This choice board, they have the options to use several different ways to show their understanding. They can make a film using Powtoon, and using this film, they would talk about how they can find the area of a rectangle using a real world example. They can complete a packet, which includes questions and definitions about area, and find the answer for the area of a rectangle. These, of course, apply to real world scenarios. They can create a digital or physical storyboard to demonstrate their understanding of finding area rectangles. And then they can use Canva or Google Slides to create a presentation. And then these are all working together in a group. So it again gives them the opportunity to work with their classmates. Go back here. So this is the rubric for that film, the Powtoon film that students would use to would create using real world scenarios when implementing area using a rectangle. So it's got the 3 different areas: mathematical accuracy, real world connection, and mathematical vocabulary that we would be looking for. And the last one is an aerial of rectangles quiz that students would they would have to take this one because this would be our way to see if students completely understood what they learned. And so this would be something that students can take in a Kahoot way, in a Kahoot type setting, which I know my students love taking Kahoot. TPAC implementation, the technological, pedagogical content knowledge. TPAC framework provides an excellent structure for integrating digital tools into measurement instruction. Through platforms like Nearpod, teachers can create interactive lessons featuring visual rulers and measurement activities where students can manipulate virtual objects to practice measuring to the nearest inch, half inch, and quarter inch. Padlet serves as a collaborative space where students can post photos of real-world objects they've measured, fostering peer learning and authentic application, which is one of the activities they did do in the Nearpod when they had to go around the classroom and find objects they needed to measure, and then respond to their classmates and give them feedback based off of the objects they measured and how they measured. YouTube videos can demonstrate proper ruler usage and measurement techniques, while Kahoot and Quiz offer engaging formative assessments with immediate feedback. These tools support inclusive learning by providing multiple means of representation and expression, with features like audio support, visual aids, and varied response formats accommodating diverse learning needs. The integration of these educational technologies through the TPAC framework enhances online learning by creating an interactive and supportive virtual environment. Nearpod's real-time monitoring allows teachers to identify students who need additional support, while its built-in assistive technology features ensure accessibility for all learners. I don't necessarily use Nearpod in my classroom. I have done it in a whole group participation setting, not the student paced. I think it's definitely efficient for upper grades because it does give them that chance to go at their own pace if you're not doing like a whole group session. But it does have really good features for students, and I like that teachers are able to show videos and use a lot of different games and methods to assess and check for understanding. The combination of synchronous activities like Kahoot competitions and asynchronous tools such as Padlet boards provides flexibility in learning paths. Students can practice measurement skills through quiz, self-paced games, watch instructional videos repeatedly for reinforcement, and demonstrate their understanding through various digital means. This technological integration not only maintains student engagement through gamification and multimedia content, but also provides teachers with valuable data on student progress and areas needing additional instruction. Okay, so UDL now, and this is the Universal Diverse Learning. Universal Design for Learning, which is UDL. And this goes with Module 4, which was the module in regards to rectangles, how to find the area of a rectangle. So, educational technology resources provide powerful support for teaching and learning. The area of a rectangle through universal design principles that accommodate diverse learning needs. Platforms like Powtoon enable the creation of engaging animated videos that visually demonstrate how to calculate area using the formula. Kahoot and Quiz offer interactive assessment that reinforce learning through gamification. Google Slides facilitates the presentation of step-by-step examples with customizable fonts, colors, and accessibility features, making the content accessible to all learners. So they had the access to Google Slides, which was kind of a step-by-step introduction to area. It also gave them some examples and also gave them an opportunity to make their own zoo using one of those other educational websites. These tools support multiple means of engagement, representation, and expression, core principles of universal design for learning. Another one of the websites we incorporated was CK12's Adaptive Learning Platform, which provides differentiated content delivery with interactive simulations that allow students to manipulate rectangle dimensions and observe how changes affect the area calculation. YouTube tutorials can be integrated to offer additional explanations and real-world applications, while assistive technologies like screen readers and closed captions ensure inclusive access to all digital materials. The combination of these educational resources creates a comprehensive online learning environment that supports various learning styles and abilities, promoting deeper understanding of rectangular area concepts through multiple modalities and engagement strategies. The interactive nature of these tools encourages active participation and self-paced learning, while built-in assessment features provide immediate feedback and track student progress, making the learning experience both engaging and effective for all students. The Mayor's 12 Principles of Multimedia Learning. This applies to our Nearpod lesson on digital citizenship within our course. The Mayor's 12 Principles of Multimedia Learning significantly influences how students approach digital citizenship and online safety in today's interconnected world. The 12 principles directly impact how students process and share information online, making it crucial for them to protect themselves in digital spaces. In our course, the principles are addressed in the following ways. The signaling principle. We had key terms and their learning objectives that were visually highlighted to draw learners' attentions to essential information. The voice and personalization principles. My recorded voice throughout the presentation enhances engagement and fosters a more conversational, learning-centered experience. Then we have the segmenting principle. Our content is divided into clearly defined sections, allowing learners to progress at their own pace and absorb information more effectively. Moreover, the pre-training principle was implemented through a preliminary discussion, and the use of flashcards helped activate learners' prior knowledge, preparing them for new content. In conclusion, The coherence, redundancy, modality, temporal, and spatial contiguity principles were streamlined by removing extraneous sounds, words, and images, while carefully integrating visuals and graphics in close proximity to score corresponding narration and text, ensuring clarity and alignment. Assistive technology. So educational technology platforms like Nearpod, Kahoot, Powtoon, and Quiz have integrated robust accessibility features to ensure inclusive learning experiences. These platforms support screen readers, keyboard navigation, and customizable display settings, allowing students with diverse needs to engage effectively. These are all platforms we included in our learning management system. Nearpod offers closed captioning and audio descriptions for visual content. So we use the Nearpod for multiple lessons. We used it for our digital citizenship. We use it for our TPAC as well. Kahoot provides high contrast modes and adjustable response times. We use Kahoot for quizzes within the TPAC lesson. Powtoon includes text-to-speech capabilities and alternative text for animations. We use the Powtoon for the UDL. That was a part of one of the assessments that we were giving. Quiz implements features like keyboard-only navigation and voice input options. These assistive technology integrations ensure that all students, regardless of their abilities, can participate fully in digital learning activities. At the beginning of this course, we had to analyze a sample course, and we also had to talk about what were some areas of strength and improvements. And this was a great example for us to see our end goal as we worked towards creating our own sample course within this class. We learned new concepts such as the Mayor's 12 Principles, UDL, and the TPAC framework. And each of these technology-based pedagogies were implemented into our course throughout the lessons we designed. And we also learned these throughout the class. The feedback that we received from our peers included we needed a supplemental page on the 12 Mayor's Principles, and they said we needed to go into more detail about the assistive technology and accessibilities within the educational platforms we used. There were a couple of other things that our peers said that we went back and checked, and we did not think we needed to go back and add because we felt as if we did have them in there. And then some of the limitations, me and my partner worked together, but we both are very familiar with technology and a lot of the things that we did use within this course because we both use them with our jobs. But it was hard to create new resources within some of the platforms at times if we had not used them, especially with only having a week or 2 weeks within that time frame. But we worked together and we communicated with each other to help each other when we were creating these resources. And with the communication, we were able to overcome that.